Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Russell here, and I have an update for you because just last night, and it was rather late last night, the Senate has finally passed Bill C-30, the Budget Implementation Act, and this means a whole bunch of changes for many different programs and benefits that were all addressed inside of the budget that was released back in April. Now, if you've been following the channel, you'll know that this affects the CRB, but it also affects the CRCB, it affects certain aspects of EI as well as old age security, among many other things, including the Canada Recovery Hiring Program. What the Liberal government thinks will restart the economy and get people all back into the jobs that they want to be in. So in today's video, we're going to go over all of these changes that are going to happen because this is now 100% official. It's received royal assent, so that's the final step in actually getting a piece of legislation passed. We're going to go over all of those details, and in any instance where it's too detailed to go over in just one summary video, I'll leave you a link to a video that you can check out in the past that I've made that will sort of explain that individual benefit or program in a little bit more depth. But before we get into it, click the link in the description to check out the Canada Money Mastery Program, 40% off with coupon code GROW. Since that program was launched just over 2 months ago, we've added 25 additional lectures, and over time, as we add more and more content, the price will slowly go up. So if you're interested in picking that up, it's the cheapest right now that it ever will be. All right, let's dive into this and find out exactly what is inside of this bill and if anything has changed. So this is the actual text from the bill that was debated throughout the House of Commons and made its way all the way through the Senate. So this is the final official document, and we're going to start with the changes that have happened regarding the Canada Recovery Benefits Act. So that's the CRB and the CRCB. Those are the two benefits that have had the most significant change here. And we see that they've changed the maximum number of 2 week periods in respect of which a Canada Recovery benefit is payable is 25. Now, you might remember previously, before this was passed, the maximum amount of 2 week periods was 19. Now, through regulation, they had recently changed it to 21, providing 2 additional periods at the same amount, that same $1,000 per every 2 weeks, or $900 when you took away the tax. Now, this is going to stay the same, right? The next 2 periods are still going to be at the same amount, but when we get a little bit further past the 21st period, well, then that's going to go down to $300 per week, or $600 over the course of each 2 week period, but likely that's going to actually deduct tax. So it's probably going to look like $540 in your account every 2 weeks if you're still on the Canada Recovery Benefit Program. Now, there are some fine details about who will actually see this reduction in their benefits. The people who will see that reduction down to that new lower rate will be anyone who's been on the benefit since the very beginning and is now applying, after this 21st period, for the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th period. That will all be at the reduced amount. And the same goes for anybody who newly applies to the CRB for the very first time. Think people who are getting off of EI. Maybe your EI ends and you're just applying to the CRB for the first time now. If you apply any time past when this benefit would be reduced for the people who have been on it since the beginning, well, then you're not going to get to use the previous periods at the previous rate. No, you'll get right in with your first period at the new lower reduced rate. For people who have claimed at least one CRB period since the beginning, well, then you actually do have the full 21 periods at the higher rate, so long as your first CRB application is before that mid-July point where the benefit will actually go down. And there's actually a change for how long the Canada Recovery Benefit Program can last. Now, they haven't done anything officially, but inside of this bill, they provide themselves the regulatory privileges to change the end date of this Canada Recovery Benefit Program. Right now, it's set to end September 25th, like the entire program will cease to exist at that point, unless, and this is the power that they have in this new Bill C-30, they decide that they want to extend that to a maximum of the end of November of 2021. And there's also been some changes here to the Canada Recovery Caregiving Benefit. There's been an extension allowing people to apply up to 42 weeks. This extension was actually made via regulation even before this bill passed, but this is staying the same now since Bill C-30 has now officially passed. So this really hasn't been extended as long as the CRB. The CRCB, the Canada Recovery Caregiving Benefit, will only go 42 weeks, and that's to that mid-July point, whereas the Canada Recovery Benefit will actually go on until September September, even though it's going to be at a reduced rate after that July midpoint. Now, there have also been some changes to the EI program, but likely these changes aren't going to be very substantial to the people who are already on employment insurance. The changes more broadly allow more people for the next year to apply to EI if they need to, and allows them to apply with these looser guidelines that have started since COVID. Let me show you here. They actually extend, and it's in these first few clauses here, they extend the amount of time that you're going to be able to qualify with those looser guidelines. Remember, they allowed for you to add additional hours onto your insurable hours that you've worked in order to qualify for EI. Again, for people who are currently on EI, this doesn't change anything, but the thing that does change, and this is one of the larger changes within the EI program, is that they've actually extended the maximum number of weeks for which benefits may be paid because of a prescribed illness, injury, or quarantine from 15 to 26. So that's EI sickness benefits going up from their current 15 to a new 26-week limit. Now, this was something that was a little bit controversial because the entire House of Commons voted a little while ago saying that they wanted this to be eventually raised up to 50 weeks, but the Liberal government says that they don't want to do that and they want to stick with the 26 weeks here, even though there was a consensus in the House of Commons that they wanted this to be boosted up to 50 instead of 26. Next up, we have another one that's actually pretty controversial, and this is the change to the Old Age Security Act, and it set out to increase the old age security pension payable to individuals aged 75 and over by 10%. It also provides that any amount payable in relation to a program to provide a one-time payment of $500 to pensioners who are 75 years of age or older may be paid out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund. Essentially what that means is that the government has the ability to pay individuals 75 years of age and older a $500 one-time payment, and that's actually set to happen in August. That part of it individually is controversial because many critics of the Liberal government will say that that's actually just a vote-buying payment because there's many calls that there may be an election in early September, so the dates sort of line up there. But then the second reason this is quite controversial is because it essentially creates two different classes of seniors, right? For the longest time, we've qualified seniors as 65 plus here in Canada. Now, because of this, it's sort of splitting old age security into two different tiers, right? People who are aged 65 to 74 and 75 plus, and many seniors have found that quite controversial, and the Bloc Québécois and the NDP sort of fought against it, but I guess they didn't fight hard enough and vote against this bill in order to make this change not happen because they were stuck between a rock and a hard place. But in any respect, that's the change that is happening to the old age security program. Next up, we have some new programs and some extensions to older supports that should help get Canadians back to work, or at least that's the goal of the current government. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. The first one, and this is one that the Liberals are very, very excited about, it seems, because of how much they've been talking about it lately, and this is the Canada Recovery Hiring Program. Now, I've already made a full video on this, and I'll put a link down there in the description. Maybe there'll be a card up here if you want to check it out, but this is a hiring program that the Liberals believe will help hundreds of thousands of Canadians get back to the workforce. This program doesn't actually go out or affect largely the individual worker, but this is actually a refundable tax credit to support the post-pandemic recovery that will go out to eligible employers to help them cover the cost of hiring many people back over the next 6 months, I believe. But again, I go into this program in a lot more detail in that video, so if you want more information on how this works, you can check that out. Now, this next one is a benefit that's actually existed for a few years now, and it's called the Canada Workers Benefit. Essentially, this is a refundable tax benefit. What a refundable tax benefit means is that even if it reduces your income to zero, like as a deduction on your taxes, you can actually go past zero and get money back from the government in certain cases. This program is designed for Canadians who are working but are making a low income. Now, there have been some changes and some increases to this, and Krista Freeland's been talking about it even just as of this morning, so I'll likely make an update video on this, but for most people this is something that would only affect them directly at tax time when they might be able to get a larger tax return if they again meet all of that eligibility criteria. And then we also have extensions of the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy as well as the Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy. Now, if you're not familiar with these ones, that it may be the case that you're not an employer and are an employee, because these are benefits that are applied for by different employers. Now, this rent subsidy helps pay pay for commercial rent for many businesses who have to pay to a commercial landlord, as well as the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, which helps to offset the employment costs and keep workers connected to their former jobs throughout the pandemic. They're extending this, and much like the CRB, they are going to have the regulatory authority, which they say right here, to allow these to be extended to November 30th, 2021. So it seems like for many of these programs, that is the absolute latest end date for all of these programs to be ending, and they're giving themselves this little bit of wiggle room or to sort of extend these programs if the employment numbers, as well as much other data that they're looking at in Canada, if that proves that we actually need these supports going forward, then they'll extend it to November, but otherwise it's set to end September 25th, 2021, just like the CRB. Now, I know that's a heck of a lot of information in just one video, but hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I was taking a look at my numbers, and actually around half or even more than half of the people who watch these videos aren't actually subscribed, so make sure to do that. Hit the notification bell to keep updated on all of this goings on, and so you don't have to read through these giant bills. And again, make sure to check out the link to the Canada Money Mastery Program. It's down there in the description, 40% off with coupon code GROW. That coupon code will be expiring in the next few weeks here, so if you want to get it at the lowest price it's ever been before we add more content and subsequently raise the price, then make sure to check that out and see if it's a good fit for you. But with all of that said, thanks so much for watching, everybody. I really hope this video has helped you out at least a little bit, and I'll see you next time.